mother went in the other room, and I heard her clapping her hands. I said, "Mama." She said, "What, boy?" I said, "Baby, why are you clapping your hands?" She said, "Don't worry, just keep on doing what you're doing." Then after a while, Mrs. Swiderski said, maybe it's in the other room. Go look in there. Mama went in the other room, and sure enough, she started clapping her hands again, Bishop. I said, "Mama, why are you clapping your hands?" She said, "Didn't I tell you to pay attention to what you're doing?" Then at that moment, Mrs. Swiderski came over. She said, "I can tell you why she's clapping her hands." I said, "Why, ma'am?" She said, "Well, because when I have domestic workers looking for something and they're out of my view, I make them clap their hands to make sure that they're not stealing." I put the scrub brush down and I stood up. I said, "Excuse me, Mrs. Swiderski. I don't mean any disrespect, ma'am. My mother raised us to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. But my mother's a Christian. She would never steal from you or anyone. When my mama talk about your children, when she talks to her friends, she say, 'My children, the Swiderski children.' She loves you and your husband and your children. She would never steal from you." And she just walked away. Later that evening, when we were riding across the Venetian Causeway, I was very quiet. And my mother noticed it. I was not my bubbly self. She said, "What's wrong, son?" I said, "Mama, I wish I was a man." She said, "Boy, you're 16 years old. You'll be a man soon enough." I said, "No, Mama. I want to be a man now, because if I was a man, right now, we would never have to wear somebody else's hand-me-down clothes that their children no longer want. I'll be able to buy clothes for my brothers and sisters and you. If I was a man, we would never have to eat anybody's leftover food that you cooked for, because I'll be able to buy us groceries if I was a man. If I was a man, Mama, no one would ever have you on your knees cleaning up grease that they spill. And nobody would ever make you clap your hands because they think that you're stealing. If I was a man, Mama, I'll take care of you." She said, "Mrs. Swiderski told you that, didn't she?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." "So if I was a man, you would never cook for anybody but me." My mama used to fix a kind of sweet potato pie that you couldn't eat with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you can wiggle your toes. And when we would go door to door, sometimes as late as 10 o'clock at night, I would knock on the door. "Who's there? Would you like to buy a nice working television set? No money down?" "Boy, are you crazy?" "Yes, I am crazy. I'm crazy about my mama, and I'm going to take care of her. And I'm going to sell a television set tonight, and it might as well be you." And after a while, somebody would say, "Come on in here, boy, and that better be a good set." What are the reasons? Write down while you're here at this Manpower Conference. Write down 5 compelling reasons of why you're going to keep your commitment to change your life. Keep your commitment never to go back to the life that you once lived. Keep your commitment to creating wealth for yourself, to taking care of your children, to be more responsible, to manifest Christ in you, in your life, in your community. Keep your commitment to live a life of contribution, to keep your commitment to be a conqueror and to act like it, and to have authority and dominion over everything in your life. What are those reasons? I got on one of my tapes, "If life knocked you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up." Your reasons will help you to get back up again. They'll be your rod and staff to comfort you. So you got to write down 5 reasons on everything that Bishop is saying, and Bishop Merritt and all the different speakers, and the relationship seminar that Brother Lewis Greenup will do. How you will incorporate the principles from this Manpower Conference in your life and live them and manifest them and support them. Now here's one Second to the last thing. Let us say together, you got to be hungry. Hold this minute. Hold it. Mr. Washington, Mr. Brown, what do you want to do? Well, sir, I'd like to be a disc jockey. Mr. Brown, if you want to be a disc jockey, you got to be hungry. What do you mean by that, sir? You've got to be willing to do the things that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. He said you got to work on yourself, develop your mind. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. You got to be hungry. I said, yes, sir, I'm hungry. I want to be a disc jockey, sir. He said, is that right? I said, yes, sir. He said, start listening to Paul Harvey. Start listening to people who are effective communicators. Be conscious of what you're saying and how you're saying it. Because how you express yourself, once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. See yourself as a radio disc jockey. Start working to get sponsorship. Start creating the radio format that you want. Start developing your personality. I said, wait a minute, sir. I said, I want to be a disc jockey. I don't have a job yet. And then he quoted Whitney Young. He said, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. You got to be hungry. So I started working to develop myself and developing my communication skills. I expected to have a radio program, so I created my formats. I started learning how to write commercials and do jingles. And then I came to him one day. I said, okay, Mr. Washington. He said, okay, Mr. Brown, remember, you've got to be hungry. You don't have a college degree. You have no journalism. You have no broadcasting. This is a very crowded field. It's very, very competitive, Mr. Brown. You're going to face no and rejection every day. But if you're hungry enough, the world will make a place for you. So I went to apply for a job on Miami Beach to Milton Butterball Smith, the program director. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. You have any journalism in your background? No, sir. You have any kind of broadcasting experience? No, sir, but I've been training myself, sir. Let me audition for you. Let me show you how good I am. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any job for you. I was discouraged. I went back and I told Mr. Washington. I said, Mr. Washington, they said no. He said, don't take it personally. Most people are so negative, they have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, you got to be hungry. Go back again. I said, yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. Weren't you here yesterday? Yes, sir. Didn't I tell you no yesterday? Yes, sir. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not somebody was laid off or somebody was fired, sir. No one was laid off. No one was fired. I came back the next day. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. I know what your name is. Weren't you here the last 3 days? Yes, sir. Didn't I tell you no the last 3 days? Yes, sir. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not someone got sick or someone died, sir. No one got sick, no one died, no one was laid off or fired. Now, don't you come back here again. I came back the next day talking loud, looking happy, like I was seeing you for the first time. Hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you? He looked at me with rage. He says, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. Sometimes you have to stoop before you conquer. You got to sacrifice before you reign. So I became the errand boy for the disc jockeys. I'll go get their lunch and their dinner, and I'll stand in the control room, and I would not leave until they would ask me to. Then pretty soon, they trusted me to pick up entertainers that came to town. Entertainers like Diana Ross and the Supremes and the Four Tops and Gladys Knight. I used to drive them all over Miami Beach in the disc jockeys' big long Cadillacs. I didn't have any driver's license, but I was driving like I had some. Then one day, I was at the radio station, and a disc jockey by the name of Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. He was slurring his words. It was obvious he was so inebriated he couldn't complete his show. And there I was looking at him through the control room window, walking back and forth, young, ready, and hungry. I was saying, drink, rock, drink. Drink, rock. I'd have gone to get him some more if he'd asked me to. Then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager, and I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, now he must think I'm crazy. I called my mama and my girlfriend Cassandra. Said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn up the radio. I'm about to come on there. I waited for about 20 minutes and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, do you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and segue the records and don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get behind that turntable. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LB, Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single, love Domingo, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. I was hungry. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got to be hungry. There are people who come to this country who can't speak the language and they hit the ground running because they're hungry. The people that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. The people that are hungry are willing to make it okay to fail. They're risk takers. The people that are hungry are willing to reinvent themselves, to develop themselves. They know you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. The people that are hungry have goals and practical steps that they engage in day in and day out. And here's the second to the last principle. Write this down. Repeat after me. OQP. Only quality people. Yes. I want you to connect with at least 10 men before you leave here. Get their names, addresses, and phone numbers. 10 men who are dreamers. 10 men who want to do something with their lives. 10 men that you can get together and make a covenant. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I will be among you. Get together with 10 men who want to develop themselves, who want to grow, who want more out of life, who see themselves in the future doing better than they have right now. 10 men who've decided that the manpower experience will not just be an emotional catharsis, but they're going to go out and live the message that they've heard preached from this pulpit up here. 10 men who've decided to get serious about their lives, to make a commitment, to commit themselves and their ways and their behaviors and their habits to achieve a better life for themselves, for their families, and the communities and the people that they care about. Attach yourself with 10 men. Why? That gives you hope when there's hope in the future. That gives you power in the present. Let me tell you what happened. Scientists did an experiment with rats, and they dropped them in water and they watched them and they timed it. And these rats swam for about 45 minutes and drowned. And then they put in another group of rats and they watched them, and just before they drowned, they took them out and they let them rest. Then they put in another group of rats, including the ones that had been in before and were saved. And the ones that were put in the second time swam an hour and a half longer than the group that had been put in there for the first time, with the hope and the expectation that they might be saved. Listen to me. The power of assembly, the power of relationships. One goose can fly 75% further in formation with other geese than it can ever fly by themselves. It's important. You find some men here who are serious. Oh, there are people who just came just to see. But there's some men here who are serious, who said, I'm going to change. I'll never be the same again. I want God to use me in a special kind of way. You want to find those men. See, there are 2 types of relationships. There are nourishing relationships and there are toxic relationships. Most people, when you leave here and you face the world and all of your negative, toxic family members and friends, it will knock the wind out of you. That's why you got to have 10 men to stay in your ear, so when you break down, and you're going to break down, when you go back to the fiery furnaces of this world and you'll forget everything you heard here, these men can stand with you. When you have your moments in the Garden of Gethsemane and you need someone to tarry with you, these men will pray with you when you find yourself getting weak and losing control. You need someone to get you anchored again. And these 10 men make this the greatest manpower conference ever because of the relationship that you're going to develop with 10 men who share your vision for a better future. Can I get your commitment on that? And let me share something. There's nothing as powerful as a made-up mind. The human will. For Nelson Mandela, you look at your dream and think they're against the odds. A man being incarcerated for 26 years with every major government in the world supporting his government and his oppression of his people in prison. Even Joseph's accomplishment is pale in comparison to Nelson Mandela. And to go from prisoner to president, I say there's a Nelson Mandela in everyone here in this room. And he didn't do it by himself. Jesus didn't do it by himself. He had 12 men who shared his vision. The power of the human will. Come here, John Leslie. The power of the human will. Say it, John Leslie.
The human will. That force unseen. The offspring of a deathless soul can hew a way into any goal. Though walls of granite intervene, you will be what you will to be. Let failure find its false content of that poor word environment. But spirit scorns it and is free. It masters time and it conquers space. It cows that boastful trickster chance and bids the tyrant circumstance. It uncrowns and fills a servant's place. There is no chance, no destiny, and no fate that can circumvent or hinder or control the firm resolve of a determined soul. Gifts count as nothing. Will alone is great. All things give way before it's too soon or too late. What obstacle can stay the mighty force of the sea-seeking river in its course, or can cause the orb of day to wait? While each well-born soul knows it gets what it deserves. Let the fools prate of luck. The fortunate is he whose earnest purpose never swerves, whose slightest action or inaction always serves that one great aim. Why even death himself stands still and waits an hour sometimes for such a will. Thank you.
The human will. John Leslie. How many of you have children? Raise your hands. I've got a set of tapes. We have a limited number at my table called Choosing Your Future. Called It's Possible, It's Necessary, It's Hard, It's Worth It, It's Done. These tapes will help you to create wealth, and I'm sharing with you what I've learned that enabled me in the last 12 years to create a multi-million-dollar corporation, but most importantly, to learn some practical steps on how to begin to move myself from poverty to where I am right now. See, many of us, if we knew better, we would do better. Most people are failing not because they don't have the talent, but most people don't know that they don't know, and they think they know. And consequently, they're not open to any new information. So we will be at our table and I will sign these tapes, but use them with your children. I have 7 children, and all my children listen to tapes. Why? Because we just can't leave our children's mind out here to a lot of this filth and garbage they call rap music, listening to profanity day in and day out. Words are very powerful. There's an old saying, evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. So we've got to give our children some other options. And don't tell your children, just listen to the tape, that won't work. No. Don't give these tapes to people that you care about and say, listen to this. They won't do it. Why? Because of ego. Ego means edging God out. No, here's what to do. Get your children in the car, get on the expressway, and put the tape in. See, I can say the same thing that you say, but because they don't know me, they're here differently. The hardest people to reach are the people that are closest to you. And then put the tape in. Don't say listen to it, just put the tape in. And then after that, when it runs out, flip it over and put the second side on. And then pretty soon they'll start listening themselves. A lady saw me in the hotel. She said, Mr. Brown, if I'd known you were here, my God, she said, I would have brought more people. She said, let me tell you something. I did what you said. My son was on drugs, dropped out of school. He started listening to the tapes. He got off drugs. He got back in school, came home one day. He got a decent haircut, took his earring out, pulled up his pants, and took a bath. She said, had I known you were going to be in town, I'd have brought my husband here. So I don't know what your goals are, but we will have this. And also, those of you that are involved in sales, we have a set of tapes called Selling Your Way to Greatness. And other tapes out there that as you listen to these tapes, I guarantee you, they'll change your life. And I'll be at the table, and I'm looking forward to shaking your hands. In addition, those of you that are interested in motivational speaking, let me be your mentor. Let me help you learn how to develop your communication skills, because that's not what I have as a gift. I gave you a health form to fill that out and get that back to us. But those of you that have not had your prostate examination, I want your commitment to protect yourself and your family by getting your examination. And I'd like to thank Bishop T.D. Jakes for giving me this opportunity to spend this time with you. And I want to share this with you. And my saying that this has been an incredible experience for me. Last night he said to me, he said, I want the people don't nobody else want. I said, that's my life. That's who I am. I wasn't born just to teach those who have how to get more. I know what it is to feel inferior. I don't have any college training. And I said, Lord, give me an opportunity. I said, if you help me get this home for my mother, if you help me change my life, I said, I'll help others like me. I'm not wearing any crown. I'm still growing. I'm still developing. When I'm like the woman who said, Lord, I ain't what I want to be, ain't what I'm going to be, and thank God I sure ain't what I was. So I like to leave this with you that I'm known by, that my mother used to love to hear me say. And I dedicate this to you and to the bishop. It says simply this: if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish or gulf, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. This has been Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy, Leslie Calvin Brown, say, go to the top because you are armed and dangerous. Thank you very much.